Okay, so we're going to do slope-intercept form today, and this is a review of what you did in algebra last year, so everybody remembers this and everybody knows it. We are on page 74. This is our old friend y equals mx plus b. So this m is the slope, and the b is the y-intercept, okay?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
How come they don't have algebra than algebra 2?
Somebody else asked me that earlier. It used to be because you had to take the Wassel test after your sophomore year. And so they wanted you, and there was algebra and geometry on that test. So you had to have algebra and geometry before you took that test. But now they have changed that test. So really, you could probably take algebra and then algebra 2 and then geometry if like your schedule worked out better that way, and it would still all sort of work out. So it's a good conversation to have with the counselor. You don't have to do it that way. You can go either way. But yeah. What are you doing after you graduate? Okay, then
I'm gonna make people look beautiful. I'm beautiful colors.
no, you don't either.
What about
I have a question.
Okay, what's the?
Wait. Okay. So if I'm taking this class in accounting, does that mean I don't have to take math classes?
That's a discussion to have with the counselor.
Wait, either math?
That's true. I think that's true that when you're done. But
So then technically I have taken 5 courses.
well, you're just the smartest kid in class. Okay, so back to the math notes. You remember the formula for finding the slope between two lines, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
This is the slope formula right there. And so if you wanted to, say, find the slope between the 2 points, -3,7 and -2,4. Anybody want to walk me through that?
No. Okay, so why start with 7
Okay, so we'll just start with 7. So you
and then
just,
go to 4.
okay, so 7 minus 4
We're gonna
over
take 3,
-3 minus -2.
but if it was in plus 2.
Yeah, right, which will end up being +2. So Stacy is being stubborn.
I'm being also.
Normally they want you to go y2 minus y1. She went y1 minus y2. But it doesn't matter as long as you then do x1 minus x2 as well. When you have problems is if you go y2 minus y1 and then you go x2 minus x1. If you do them in the opposite order, then things get wacky. So 7 minus 4 is 3. 3 minus -2 is really 3 plus 2. So that's -1. And 3 divided by -1 is -3. Okay? All right, let's play again. Let's find the slope between the points 3, 1 and -4, 1. So somebody walk me through that.
1
1,
and
1 minus 1
and
over
3 minus plus 4.
3 minus -4. So 1 minus 4 is, 1 minus 1 is 0. 3 minus -4 is
What? I'm a little confused. 7.
7. And what is 0 divided by 7?
Can't. Oh wait.
0.
0, okay? So the slope between those 2 points is 0, and you can see why that's the case if you graph them. If I go 3, 1, and then I go -4, 1, what's true about those 2 points? Yeah, they're
4 is a 0
They're-
slope.
straight across from each other. The line that would go through them is horizontal, so it has a slope of 0, okay? Which, don't get confused with, many students do, if we switch it around and go find the slope between the points 7, -3, and 7, 1. So now let's find that slope. 7, but I have to do the y's first. So -3 minus 1 over 7 minus 7 is -4 over 0. And a lot of kids want to say that -4 divided by 0 is also 0. It's not. It's undefined. There is no answer to this question because it doesn't make sense.
So if it's a negative number times or multiplied, I can't even talk. If it's a negative number, it's undefined.
No, it's the 0 on the bottom that makes it undefined.
Well, but if it were a positive number on top, would
It would still be undefined.
but if the 0 were, oh, if the 0 is on top, then it's okay.
Then it's okay, yeah. And the reason why this looks like this is because if we graph these points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, one point is right here, one point is right there, and so that is a straight up and down vertical cliff, so that slope is undefined.
Still a line though.
Okay, it is still a line, and we still can come up with the equation for that line if we would like to. Okay? You don't really want to? Okay, so let's say that we have a slope of 1/5 and a y-intercept of 0, -3. What is the equation for my line? I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
Plus
Starts with y equals
1/5
1/5, because that's the slope, mx plus
-3.
-3.
What if there are two numbers that are not 0?
Okay, good. So first of all, does everybody understand how we got that?
Not really.
No? Okay, if you go back to this general formula right here, this number right here is the slope, and this number right here is the y-intercept. Okay? So, well, the x is the variable. So the x and the y's are the variables in the answer. So they told us on that problem that the slope was 1/5. Okay? So that's why we wrote 1/5 x. Okay? And then they told us that the y-intercept was -3, and so we wrote -3. Okay? All right, so Stacy asks a great question, as she always does. Let's say that in this case the slope is 1/5 and we don't know what the y-intercept is, but we know that it goes through the point 2, 10. Okay? You could go plus -3 if you wanted to, but plus and negative is the same as just straight up minus.
Oh my goodness, I get it.
There's a positive and a negative when you're multiplying. Okay, so for this one here, we would have to say y equals 1/5 x, because the slope still goes in front of the x, but we don't know what the y-intercept is because they didn't tell us that. They just gave us a point on the graph. No, we don't have to graph it. We're basically playing the same game that we did with the direct variation thingies, okay? In the direct variation problems, we were solving for k, right? Now we're solving for b. So what am I going to plug in here for y?
10.
10.
Okay, let me go to that.
Uh-huh. What do I plug in for x? 2, because that's what the x equals. Plus b. Okay? So can we take that and figure out what b is now? What do we do first?
Times it by the reciprocal 1/5.
Oh, I don't have to do that because
You
these
need to
are
subtract number.
not yet. Order of operations. Have to do my multiplication first. So I'm going to rewrite this as 10 equals 2/5 plus b. Now I'm trying to get the b by itself.
So subtract 2/5.
So I subtract 2/5 from both sides, because those 2/5 will cancel, and then b will be all by its lonesome, which is what we wanted. What is 10 minus 2/5? 9.6. So we just figured out that our y-intercept is 9.6. Okay? So what's my final answer then for the whole equation?
Y equals 1/5 x plus 9.6.
Awesome. Okay? So a couple different ways that you can come up with that answer depending on what you are given to work with. All right? Okay, then the last thing, and then I'll cut you guys loose, is if they give you an equation and they want you to figure out what the slope and the y-intercept are, then in order to figure this out, you need to get it into the y equals mx plus b form, which means you need to get the y by itself. And that's going to be 2 steps. But I go side by what?
Or minus 5x.
I want to get the y by itself, so I don't really care that this 5 is in front of the x. I care more about this -4 here, okay? But what?
Minus 5x.
Yeah, let's do the subtraction first. So let's get the minus 5x over here. So those cancel, and then that leaves me -4y equals, I'm going to tuck the x in front just because that's usually how we write it. And now we're going to take Jennifer's idea. How do I get rid of the -4 in front of the y? Divide everybody by -4. Everybody. So y equals, what can I simplify with -5x over -4? What happens to the 2 negatives? They cancel. So instead of writing -5x over -4, I'm just going to write 5x over 4. And then what is 16 divided by -4? -4. So, what's my slope? What's the number in front of the x? 5/4. And what's my y-intercept? -4. Okay? Easy, easy.
A question. I remember when my brother did Saturday school,